One of your challenges, no, first you wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post last weekend about what some people feel is the only issue your job should be about, voting rights. You said that if you're elected again, you'll introduce bills to get the district a vote in the House and bills for full statehood. What do you intend to do differently to move those bills through the Congress?
Well, I intend to move the bill that is now pending because I have 60 votes for that. Nobody leaves 60 votes on the table. But I am responding to my constituents who keep asking me questions about things we have done. Why don't we do statehood? Well, that's the first thing I did, and we got pretty far until the district, of course, had financial troubles, and statehood got taken off the table by the District of Columbia. Then we went to the House and Senate because that's the next best thing, and we were essentially driven back to the one House vote. The lesson is that everything that has happened to the district has been incremental. Perhaps you were here, Kojo, when they got, I think, home rule. I mean, I was away at school, but they got home rule. Here. And the first home rule they got was their school board. Mm-hmm. And then they finally got, an appointed mayor. And then they got an elected mayor. And it looks like the Congress isn't going to break that stride. So I want to introduce these bills in order to put them on my website, in order for people to be able to go down and trace the history so that their own favorites they will understand. It's completely consistent with what we do in the House all the time. I was on 10 health care bills. Well, my favorite, of course, was the public option. But that didn't mean I didn't get on other bills. So the other bills I explain in the op-ed piece that have no chances of moving, and yet I'm going to introduce them because they all have their merits. And by the way, I've introduced them all before, so they're on my bills.
Congresswoman, could you address the prospects for the one House vote bill and the remainder of the Congress? What I have heard is that there's two possibilities. One is that because of the gun right, the gun writer is such a such an obstacle. One thing that could happen is that the gun writer happens another way. It gets attached to a must-pass piece of legislation. Is there a chance of that still happening? And the other question is, what about the possibility, and excuse me for saying it, of a lame duck session? Do you think something could happen in a lame duck session?
It could, but I'm not depending on the lame duck session. I'm worried about guns. We took down our gun bill when they raised the ante on us and came forward with a monstrous bill. You could carry guns in the streets, open or concealed. If you had an office building like this building, you couldn't say, look, we'll lease to you, but can't have guns here. If you had an apartment building, you couldn't say, we'll lease to you, but you can't have guns here. So they upped the ante so bad, there was nothing to do but take down the bill. So we're blocked. But what did they do next? They got a senator and some representatives to, in fact, put the bill through. To introduce the bill as a standalone bill. This much I can tell you.
Right, the gun part of it.
The gun part, as a standalone bill rather than as an amendment. I can tell you this for sure. They have the votes. They have the votes in the House and the Senate. We've already seen that they have them in the Senate. The only reason I haven't taken this to the House is that I can count in the House and they have them in the House. So what am I left? What are my options now? We had to put aside D.C. voting rights, and I am working entirely on keeping these bills from getting to the floor of the House or the Senate. We're blocked in moving forward, and you see what I've had to do with budget autonomy.
Do you see danger in the gun language being attached to a must-pass piece of legislation between now and the end of the Congress?
Any and everything is possible here. I do know this. We have lots of good friends in the Senate and in the House who are helping us out.